From news and views, issues and opportunities, we'll have in-depth conversations with decision makers to find out what they know and what they think. I'm Rico Hizon, inviting you to join the exchange because your business is our business. A raging war in Eastern Europe is threatening global food supply, resulting in higher prices of goods. Despite the distance from the conflict, our kababayans suffering from hunger and poverty are not spared from the impact.
Pag hindi ako bumiyahe ng isang araw, wala ko kami kakainin.
With little elbow room and their meager income, consumers are forced to dig deeper into their pockets, while food producers try their best to minimize passing on additional costs.
Ang medyo malaking tinaas, those with a lot of imported raw materials or ingredients, no? Those which are repacked here, which are rebottled here, yun, medyo malaking tinaas nila. Some as high as around 25-30%.
How can businesses strike a balance between making their products affordable while remaining viable? The vision of business resiliency in our C-Suite vision. Consumer prices continue to rise as the inflation rate soared to 5.4% in May, the highest in more than 3 years, driven by a global spike in oil and food costs. Economists warn our kababayans to brace themselves as the situation may be more difficult in the coming months. Let's now have an exchange with Trade Assistant Secretary for Consumer Protection, Ann Kabuchan. Asek, thank you so much for joining us. How big an impact is this ongoing Ukraine-Russian war on the country's inflation rate?
Well, as was pronounced by the Philippine Statistics Authority, it contributed significantly to the rising prices of transportation and food. And so it has contributed to what I call, or what has been referred to as imported inflation, because the disruption in the supply chains has certainly impacted on food and, of course, transportation costs.
So, Asek, how did the DTI prepare for this imported inflation? Because food prices, the spike in food prices is also due to higher costs of fuel, fertilizer, and raw materials coming from abroad.
So to cushion those rising prices, we have really been trying to control the suggested retail price of those products that are in our SRP list, which are basic necessities and prime commodities. There are only 218 SKUs in that list. However, those are the products that are used on a daily basis. And of course, when you go to the supermarket, while there are hundreds or even thousands of SKUs, consumers are presented with a choice of purchasing these products, which have to comply with our SRP.
That's right. There are choices from locally made products to imported products. There are also repacked products. But since the beginning of the year, Asek, how many manufacturers on DTI's list have already increased their prices? And what are these products?
Well, we have had 2 increases so far this year. So certainly more than 10 manufacturers. The exact number, I'm afraid I cannot disclose at this moment. I am not so sure. But in January, we increased, and there were increases in January, for instance, of detergents, canned sardines, and even canned beef. For May 11, the latest increase, we also had another round of increase for canned sardines, for detergents, and even for processed milk. So we would like to emphasize that while there have been increases, we have tried to minimize those increases. And if the increase that is due the manufacturer because of rising prices is more than 10%, we always ask that it be applied in tranches.
So Asek, basically, run us through the process before a manufacturer is allowed to raise the amount on their products. And what are the factors that the DTI considers to allow such a case for an increase?
The manufacturers, when they give us a request to increase, is asked to submit even their invoices for these raw materials, which they use for the manufacture of the products. And we look at their week-to-week, even month-to-month costs, and how the prices in the world market are also evolving. So aside from the data that they give us, we also link up with other government agencies with data on, for instance, for the DOE on oil, and the DA for fresh produce, and other sources, global sources for these products, like for tin, for crude, for coal. And we make an assessment, look at how much these increases would impact in producing all these products. It is a tedious process, and it all goes through a lot of, pencil pushing before even the smallest increase is granted.
Well, it's really good to know, especially for our kababayans out there who are really suffering with all of these price increases for consumer goods. Now, at least they know the process that the DTI goes through before they go through the process of raising prices. So, in your in the assumptions and assessments, ASEC, will the situation get worse? Should we brace for higher consumer prices in the coming months?
I would like to be more optimistic about what is to come. We have opened the economy, and of course, that has made our economy a lot more stronger and in a better position to also shield itself from external threats. So I would like to say that while there are challenges out there, that the fundamentals that are in place will make us proceed. And I think it would be better than what it was, certainly during the lockdowns, even with the increasing prices in the world market.
And how are you also ensuring, because there have been several increases already of consumer products, how are you ensuring that food prices will also be affordable? They will remain affordable to our kababayans?
For instance, what we have done is we have, aside from the SRP list, we have what we call the descuento caravans that we roll out on a very regular basis, bringing these products, basic necessities, farm commodities, even fresh produce, to certain municipalities, local government units, localities, eliminating the middleman. So it goes to the consumer directly at lower prices. We have enhanced that with the Presyong Reasonable Dapat frozen meat edition that would sell frozen meat at lower prices. And we have partnered with supermarkets that also sell this frozen meat at the prices we sell it in the PRD editions. So, of course, the government, the economic team, has extended, for instance, the tariff on the reduction in the tariff of frozen meat until December 22. Those are measures that are designed to keep prices down amidst all these challenges.
Thank you so much for this Consumer Protection Exchange, Trade Assistant Secretary Ann Cabuchan. And now here's a rundown of this week's top business stories. The World Bank cut its global economic forecast but retains the growth outlook for the Philippines. The global growth forecast was reduced by nearly a third to 2.9%, while the Philippine outlook for 2022 stays at 5.7%. The eruption of Mount Bulusan in Sorsogon damaged over 20 million pesos worth of agricultural crops. And the Fiscal Incentives Review Board reveals the government lost billions of pesos in granting tax breaks to the now defunct Hanjin Heavy Industries and Construction Philippines. Coming up on The Exchange, where your business is our business. It takes a community to end hunger. ARC tells us how to empower communities towards food security. And how are companies, big and small, coping with global food and ingredient shortages? Mega Sardines and Kamuning Bakery join us straight ahead. Keep it right here on CNN Philippines. News you can trust.
Sa isang linggo po, sa isang araw po kasi 300.
Siguro estimated ko is mga araw, mga 5 to 700 isang araw.
Yung 300, tipid-tipid na yun, kasama na bigas doon, pera pa yung gas. Lalong gas ngayon, natataas na rin. medyo mabigat na.
Glad you're staying with us right here on The Exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. The latest Social Weather Station survey reveals more than 3 million families experience involuntary hunger or not having anything to eat at least once over the past 3 months. To help bring food on the table, grassroots organizations are trying to narrow the gap by empowering communities to grow their own. Let's now have an exchange with ARC CEO Ayesha Vera Yu, joining us now from New York. Ayesha, thank you so much for joining us. The Philippines in decades past was a food exporter. Now we're importers.
Yes.
That's why we are vulnerable to price shocks triggered by global events, and higher food prices are pushing our kababayans into hunger and poverty.
Yeah. And una-una, Rico, maraming salamat for having me and ARC on the show. And what you said is actually really, it's very hard because actually most of our kababayans that are food insecure are actually the farmers and the fisher folk that produce food for us, that produce food that we can't live without. I think it's a shame, and there's actually solutions to it.
And is
there's actually solutions to
ARC's
this.
feedback program solving this food insufficiency quickly and sustainably?
Yes, absolutely. Just to give a little bit of a backdrop of what is creating food insecurity, even among the people who produce our food, you have to first look at the fact that they have low income. And the second thing that you have to also take into consideration is most of the farmers ngayon sa Pilipinas, they use chemical farming and pesticides. This have actually, driven them to be monocroppers. So for many farming communities and fishing communities in the Philippines, the food that they want to eat, whether it's vegetables or protein, have to come from far away. So now you have to, this food is being trucked in or shipped in as far as other provinces or even other islands. So if you think about the cost of food and gas going up over 40% na, it's a real hardship. And then the third thing that's also causing for farmers to, and fisher folk to have such a deep struggle is the fact that it's now planting season. And in planting season, it also coincides with the hunger season. And they have no more inventory. They have to borrow money just to buy food for themselves. And they have to buy fertilizers as well. And fertilizers are now 3 times what it used to be. So like the cost of a bag of fertilizer is 3,000 pesos, which is as much as like 1 month's salary.
So Ayesha, I'd like to jump in. How many communities has your ARC project helped right now to grow their own food?
We've now partnered with 35 communities on our vegetable exchange program. And it's this program that have now, it's inspired these 35 communities and over 8,000 families that have, we're talking about involving 35,000 lives. It's inspired them to grow food in their backyards. And by creating this exchange, it enables families to bring their excess to the exchange, so that way they can also get what they are not producing.
And how do you select?
And because
how do you select these communities, Ayesha?
So the first one is we look for communities that are really determined, that want to invest and pay for 50% of the program cost. And that's the very first thing, because us Filipinos, it's like we show our determination by putting money in it and investing in it. The second thing that we look for is buy-in of 100% of the village council and buy-in of the people, because it is a community it is a community solution that invites everyone to grow vegetables in their backyard, and in an 8 to 12 week exchange period, it enables them to secure their own food. Imagine they're getting all of their food and nourishment from their backyard in just 5 weeks. And then it enables them to create excess, which they bring to the exchange and trade for, over 20 kinds of vegetables and fruits that are grown by their neighbors. And then on those days that there are no exchange, they actually sell their excess, which gives them new income.
Right. So
Sorry,
Ayesha,
go ahead, Rico.
have there already been communities that have graduated or finished the feedback program?
Yes. So there's actually 19 communities that have graduated, and we've gone back to all of them, including those that have graduated a year ago, meaning a year after graduating from the program. What they've told us is that all of the families are still planting in their backyards. Everyone is still food secure. Everyone is healthy. Malnutrition is down to zero. And the families are still growing the vegetable ventures that they grew at the time of the feedback exchange, and it's now accounting for 25% of their new income.
Ayesha, the CEO and co-founder of ARC, is halfway around the world, in New York. How does a community here in the Philippines try to be part of this ARC feedback program?
First, they should just go to arcsolves.org and contact us. And we will let them know where we will be taking feedback throughout in the country. We are scaling it throughout the Philippines because as I said, in addition to the impact that I've shared, it has proven to be the solution that has enabled people to be food secure and to manage this global crisis.
Thank you for this food security exchange, Ayesha Vera Yu of ARC. And up next on the exchange, where your business is our business, the cost of fuel and basic commodities are on the rise. What are businesses planning to do to soften the impact? We speak with Mega Sardines and Kamuning Bakery right here on CNN Philippines. News you can trust.
Sobrang hirap. Kasi ako lang naman po yung naghahanap buhay sa amin.
Kasi hindi naman tumataas yung sahod, hindi naman tumataas yung kita. Naghahabol lagi yung kita mo sa gastusin, hindi naman umaabot kahit kalahati. Yun ang mabigat.
Kasi yung araw ko po 400 plus lang sir tapos gumagastos kami ng 300 araw-araw, kulang pa sa pagkain pa lang yun.
Glad you're staying with us right here on the exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. The minimum jeepney fare is now at 10 pesos in Metro Manila, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, and Mimaropa. Transport regulators approved a 1 peso provisional fare hike. They will still convene on the main petition seeking a 5 peso minimum fare increase. The decision coincides with another hefty fuel price hike this week. Diesel prices jumped by more than 6 pesos per liter and gasoline by more than 2 pesos per liter. The rising fuel cost has forced some drivers to stop operations. An energy official says expect another pump price hike next week, but the amount may be lesser. Those in the business of making food have also taken a hit from the shortage of some ingredients. How are companies coping, especially with the hefty fuel price increases? Let's now have an exchange with Mega Sardines Chief Growth and Development Officer Marvin Chu Lim and Kamuning Bakery Cafe owner Wilson Lee Flores. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Sardines and bread, these are two of the favorite staples of our kababayans. Marvin, let's start off with you. How big of an impact is a global supply chain disruption on rising costs of oil and raw materials on your sardines business?
Well, Rico, thank you for having me. Hi to Ian Wilson. Well, fuel is a big component of our cost. No, as you know, we are one of the biggest fishing fleets in the country, and a lot of our operations really relies on fuel daily. And we always really find active ways to improve our efficiencies of our fishing fleet and our operations across the field. However, there's really no escaping not only fuel, but even the rising cost of coal, which powers our factories, is exponentially increased already. And not only that, all the subsequent raw material prices have also increased. So it's really, we're really taking a big hit.
You really indeed are taking a big hit. It's a domino effect, right? So has Mega Sardines already increased by how many times prices of its products?
So what we try to do, Rico, we try to extend as much as possible our prices. No? We don't try to increase immediately. We know the effect it has on Filipino people. So what the beauty about the sardine industry, we have a buffer stock usually. So we had stocks before that were still of old prices. So that allowed us to not increase our price agad-agad. So we did it in a few tranches. Now we've increased our price 2 times over the past 6 months, which unfortunately we really do not want to do. But that's what we need to do to stay alive.
So Wilson, are you seeing a shortage in main ingredients of bread? And how is this impacting your business?
Thank you, Rico. Like Marvin, we are being hit by higher costs. Of course, fuel is a cost everybody is suffering from. We don't have problems with supply. In fairness to the country, sa Philippines, flour supply, we don't have problems with it. It's the price that's the headache. I think flour prices have continuously been increasing. And it's not a Philippine problem lang, Rico. It's a global problem because we import 100% of our wheat. We don't grow wheat in the Philippines, tropical country. And wheat is the raw material used to create flour for breads, pandesal, including instant noodles, biscuit, cookies, and pasta. So that's a headache for us.
So it is really a headache for you, Wilson, no? So
yes.
You also have to cover a lot of your operational costs. So by how much have you already increased your bread products?
We have a problem also with that. We cannot increase too high because pandesal and other breads is considered a basic a product that people eat every morning, every day. So we can only adjust a little bit. We have adjusted a little bit, pero the increases are so high. Hindi lang flour, including sugar, surprisingly including chicken, kasi we have roasted chicken also. We can feel all the prices of foods are going up. So hopefully the food prices can stabilize. By the way, favorite ko rin ng Mega Sardines, kaya I hope hindi pwedeng tumaas sobra yan kasi kailangan ng pandesal ang sardinas.
Absolutely, that is a great combination, especially for breakfast and for merienda. So Marvin,
and they are affordable and good quality, kaya I hope we don't push prices up lahat ng mga goods. Kasi alam mo, ito pa, ang problema namin, if we increase prices too high, hindi lang ako, I'm sure thousands of bakeries in the Philippines, we might lose sales.
That's true. Especially many of our kababayans who love these food staples, no, on their table. So Marvin, are you looking for ways to keep operational costs down while trying also to help your employees save time and money on transportation?
Of course. Well, of course, we're always looking for ways, especially now we've really rampant our steps to make our company more cost efficient. We're really tightening our belts because we know we're in this for the long haul. What's good about us is that we're 100% Filipino owned and we source a lot of our goods here and we produce it here. So we're not that affected by the shortage. We're really affected by the rising increase of everything else. So we're just telling our people, look, this is a stage where it's a crisis for everyone. We have to really get down and really help each other and make sure we tighten our belts, make sure we make cost-efficient measures. We don't go on extravagant expenditures. So really have to be conscious. And what we're doing right now, and hopefully there's not going to be a recession, but they say there will be, we're really making sure that we have good credit, we have good cash in hand to make sure we can withstand the storm that is coming.
And Wilson, We have a new
Yes.
administration, no? In less than 3 weeks. What is your suggestions to the incoming DTI Secretary Pascual to keep prices stable?
I suggest that we focus on food prices, supply, and also I suggest, can we explore sana maybe buying discounted oil from Russia like the way Japan, Korea, South Korea, and India are doing? So alam ko, these are allies of the US, but despite the US-led Western sanctions of Russian trade, they continue to buy oil and they buy discounted oil. Baka that's one way we could leverage our so-called independent foreign policy for economic benefits of the Philippines. That's one suggestion.
Okay.
And maybe DTI Secretary could do more things to ensure food supply is not wag kulang ang food supply and discourage others from taking advantage
Right.
of this inflation.
Okay.
Baka there are ways to stabilize food ingredients.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for this Business Resiliency Exchange. Mega Sardines, Marvin Chu Lim, and Kamuning Bakeries, Wilson Lee Flores. And this is the exchange to make sense of the facts and the figures and the ups and downs of the business cycle, because your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. Thanks for watching CNN Philippines. News you can use. News you can trust.